I guess we could do a vehicle and also we could do the space in the vehicle. I like the idea, and I'm just doing this randomly, but I kind of like the shape. Now, if you had an autonomous vehicle of some sort, I guess it depends on the purpose of said vehicle. Is it meant to shuttle people from one spot to another, say, like an airport, or just thinking through things like that. So let's do some quick thumbnails here and see if we can come up with something at least for an exterior and interior combination. So Sketch Today Live, thanks for joining once again. When I'm doing cars, you can start with the wheels. It's kind of like starting with the eyes on a human body or face, rather, or using it as just a general means of measuring. So, for example, this is called the wheelbase, right? So what you want to do is measure the number of wheels between the centers. Okay, so that's 3.5, which is pretty typical. Sometimes 4. It just depends on the type of vehicle that you're sketching. All right, quick lesson on proportion, but there's plenty of resources online if you're curious about that. Okay, so feel free to check that out. I mean, this is kind of a lazy, generic, autonomous shape, but the idea here being let's maximize what you can see, because if you don't have to have a steering wheel and drive, then it doesn't matter. Thank you, Alex. It has been a long time. I guess it's been about a half a week. Blaine says he has touch new markers. That's cool. I bought some Spectrum markers that I was gonna check out. Hello, Hossein, and test out. Now, just so you Instagrammers know, the stream is limited to about an hour, so it may cut out and just be done. Right? Okay, so there's another thumb. I kind of dig that one though. I had that idea in my head, so we'll see. Sometimes the first idea you sketch is like, oh, okay, that's good, that's cool. We're gonna do some weird vehicles because I want to. All right. Kind of like this one too, actually. More of a kind of bubble car. Maybe this is the wheel here, and this other wheel is exposed. That's actually kind of cool. At least I think it's cool. And this is my show. Just kidding. Thank you for the input. I really didn't know what I was going to draw today, so I just knew I wanted to draw. All right. Okay, so there's an example of a thumbnail. And you kind of do this a number of times, multiple times, until you feel like, oh, I've kind of got a theme, a vibe. Sometimes you start with a theme, like here's my, aesthetic inspiration, whatever. Other times it's just like you're just riffing on stuff, and that's okay. I would say there's no right or wrong way to do it, but everyone has their means. All right, I think I'm going to focus on this one. But obviously you do this multiple times, and just to give this a little bit of depth, and so you can kind of see what's happening, let's just focus on maybe a bit of shadow core, putting things in shadow where they need to be, right? There's the wheel. There's the other wheel, right? So now this sketch has some presence on the page. Thank you, M. Lupa Designs. An ambulance drone, says Blaine. Remy, maybe an autonomous car for the school run. That'd be interesting. But yeah, just a little bit of gray kind of helps identify what your form might be. And for me, when I'm sketching or ideating, a lot of times it's just putting a pin in the concept or the surface definition as I'm going, more so than saying this is, the final representation. So in this case, I imagine this canopy or top, if I were looking at it, being something like this, where these corners have these nice cores going down, shadow cores. So just running that there, and maybe even identifying, hey, this could be a part break, meaning this is a totally different material, and we have this nice contrast. right in there on that vehicle. And, you know, just to help out, maybe you throw some quick texture elements. Could be cool if you had some parametric computational geometry here on this side piece, and maybe this is where the batteries are being cooled and so forth. So that as an element I can actually pull into, you know, maybe even this concept and say, yeah, I kind of like that element. Let's see what this looks like. So there's an example of using, and I kind of like this as a door. Maybe this is a door on the vehicle, swings out. But there's an example of like the iterative nature of sketching. You might do something, think it's cool, and you pull it into the other one, and you go, oh, cool, I got a sweet idea. All right, so let's keep going here, guys. So now I have this sketch. I need to do, well, I want to do a perspective sketch, and then I'm going to do, hello, Henner Ini David on Instagram. So I want to do a perspective sketch, and then I want to do an interior sketch. Okay, so let's do the perspective sketch first. And I'm just going to lay out a plane on the ground, like so. Maybe it needs to be a little bit lower, actually. Or narrower. That's the other thing. So you kind of play with it. Let's go ahead and figure out the midpoint right here. So in perspective, this is about my midpoint there. It's about my midpoint there. Okay, so at least I know where the center of these shapes are. We're just going to sketch fast, keep it loose, and just roll with it. All right, so I've got a base plane. Now I need to look at my initial sketch, and I go, okay, what's happening here? I've got a wheel up front. I've got another wheel here on the far side. Okay, I've got a wheel in the back, and I'm just going to draw to the extent of this box. But not only that, but it looks like this wheel kind of has this arm that goes up, so we'll just rough that in for now. I'm not concerned about getting this ellipse perfect, but just so you know, what I'm trying to do is make sure there's a 50-50 relationship with this line in the center as it goes back into perspective like the other lines here. All right, now these two lines are going to converge at a point above the right vanishing point. That's called an auxiliary vanishing point, but that's what happens when you have a plane at an angle in perspective. All right, this feels a little bit long, so I'm going to bring this down a little bit here. We'll do the same thing on this side. So when in doubt, rough it out. Okay, when in doubt, rough it out. And that's what we're doing here. Okay, so let's go across, and then now I've got to get this kind of big bubble on the vehicle. I'm running out of paper, so I was hoping to use all small paper, but let's just get the rough here, and then once I have the rough, we can jump to another piece of paper because I do want to correct kind of the shape of this. There was a question about, you know, doing the hull of a ship, something like that. On paper, this is just an ellipse, but if I imagine that there's a plane intersecting all of this stuff and then draw a shape so it's tangent, I now can start to place cross sections, okay, just like so, that are orthogonal or at 90 degrees to my initial plane, just like that. Let's go ahead and get this door shape in. It looks like it intersects about just a little over halfway here. So I'm just going to draw that shape in and hint at some sort of, maybe there's just some sort of collective panel here to finish things off. And this is where our taillights might be and so forth. All right, so just rough it out. When in doubt, we can always fix this other stuff when we do our overlay. All right, this is Sketch-A-Day Live. Thanks again for joining, being a part of the stream. Thanks for the love, support, and all that good stuff. All right, I obviously need a cutout for these wheels, so I'm just kind of blocking out a cutout here on this arm that's dropping down. This is kind of like a, we typically do Sci-Fi Sunday, or I have been rather. This feels like a Sci-Fi Sunday sketch, but it's all good. Let's go ahead and put, I tend to be sometimes a practical designer, so here's my Fender wheel flare cover. We'll decide if I keep that or not. Right, little shadow, all that good stuff. So I'm gonna tweak this proportion when I do my overlay. Mariella Yebra says it looks like a paper-made flare, and you are correct. You win the grand prize. I wish there was a real grand prize, but there isn't. Alright, so I've got this piece of paper. This is not the pad I really want, but it'll have to do. Hello, Ordirin Core. Do you guys like this time, by the way? It's midday. I wonder if I can get everyone. I don't see Svetlana. She's usually in the chat. But yes, thank you for joining and hanging out and being a part of this with me. Sketch a day live. All right, so now I can do final sketch. Again, there's our thumbnail that we've kind of picked and selected. When you do thumbnail pages like this too, just another tip, if you want to kind of isolate a thumbnail and say, hey, this is the one, you know, adding some background element of some sort is always helpful, just to say boom. You can even label it if you wanted. Well, maybe not there. You know, adding text to things kind of helps as well, just to say, hey, you know, I've thought about this a bit more than the other concepts. So I can take like this fat Copic marker and just even adding a little bit of black here kind of helps this one just pop and stand out a bit more, to say this is my concept, this is what I'm working on. All right, so like I said, we've got the cab up top, I've got this thing at the bottom. I'm gonna start with the wheels here, okay, and just swing in my wrist a little bit. I have to figure out how these shapes actually connect, so I'm gonna do a little transition like so, and then now come down. Pro tip, drawing big is actually a good thing. It's more challenging, but when I draw big, it's easier for me to just use my whole body and draw those ellipses. So maybe I'll move the shows in the summer to midday, just because this ellipse is off. It's gonna drive me crazy. Just because I don't have my kids right now. They're off with their mama for the summer. It was kind of hard saying goodbye. But we play games on Wednesdays, so we'll be okay. We'll be alright. Okay, with sketches like this, I try not to use tools, and yes, it's more difficult, and yes, there are easier ways to do pretty much everything I do, but I like to try and prepare myself to be able to sketch in pretty much any situation. So using tools and relying on those tools, I think, puts myself, I'm not saying you, myself at a disadvantage. So that's why I don't use those tools. All right, so on this surface we had our big chamfer. I want to make sure I capture that, and then let's get some of this base. Okay, I'm just gonna draw a big old ellipse here, just like that. Okay, and now on the side, so what I'm doing here is I'm ghosting in my line before I commit. So it's like, okay, let's practice, make sure we're ready to go. Thank you, aka Ninja, it's too kind. I think I messed up on this. Yeah, I did. It's alright. It's actually kind of interesting as far as treads go, but I did mess up. So let me fix this, like so. Alright, shouldn't be too hard to fix. Okay, so now down here, let's go ahead and get this base in. Alright, so we got our wheel. And I kind of like these half hub wheels, especially if it's, you know, something that's meant to be a bit more futuristic. Okay, so now I'm going to do the door on the the side, something like that. Okay, and maybe this whole thing, not the whole thing, but maybe a lot of it is glass. Okay, so in this instance, you would kind of see a lot of the interior, all right? Let's put a frame on this door, and I guess at this point, I'm just gonna kind of do a generic interior here. And when we get to doing an actual interior, then I'll kind of address maybe some of the details. All right, so we'll just keep this generic one person kind of autonomous thing. I'll shade the rest of this in somewhat dark. To obscure, you know, maybe this door opens out, swings out, whatever. So if you want to see the underlay, overlay kind of dynamic, you just lift your paper and you can kind of see what's happening there. I guess this is kind of a friendly vehicle. So let's put some headlights on. And we also had this kind of vent pattern on this bottom portion. Maybe that's where, you know, the batteries or whatever power source, maybe it's a fusion reactor, maybe it's some hydrogen cells, or power cells. Is that what they call them? Fuel cells? Maybe it's some fuel cell situation, but I can, you know, hint at this. We'll keep it dark, so a lot of this I'm putting in won't really matter that much. Okay, so again, when you know the why, the how is easy, and you can create strategies around how you draw. All right, just want to create some separation in the wheel there. Do the same thing over here. Maybe this needs a part line to turn. I'm not sure, but I'll just throw it in. All right, very weird vehicle, but okay. So interior, I'll just hint at some sort of seat. Again, revisiting this. Once I do the actual interior sketch. Okay, so let's take our under sketch out. Yes, this is a Papermate flare. You can find the stuff I use at... Oh, sorry guys. Let me turn that off for now. But you can find the stuff I use at sketchaday.com/stuff. Yes, this is a Papermate flare pen. That is what it is. So that's what I use. So if you go to this URL, those on the Instagram, you will see all the stuff I use right there. Okay. So I'm just gonna do kind of a drop shadow on this guy. All right, so that's just gonna be a shadow there, and then probably do some background, but I'll leave this for now. All right, so as far as the color of the vehicle, again, today's theme is pink, so I'm gonna put pink tires on, which maybe I'll regret, but might as well have fun. Life's short, right? So let's throw some pink tires on, and we'll keep the body somewhat neutral. Alright, so something like that, and then we've got this tire back here. Okay, maybe something like that. And then let's do the body. Okay, so I've got this cool gray 2. Just kind of scrub the paper again down the front. Again, thinking about this shape, I'm thinking in terms of just raw geometry, like my quick lesson example that I showed you guys. I should mention as well, all these sketches will be available after the stream if you want to download the sketch for reference. You can look at it there, but that link is in the YouTube video description. Okay, so just like the controller, I'm thinking of the body of this vehicle, right? In terms of, okay, where do I add color? You know, I need to think about those shadow cores, much like I would on a cylinder. Yep, we're doing a color theme today, so I decided it's gonna be pink. Everything's gonna have something pink on it. All right. So it's the name of the game today. I'll be back live again tomorrow and live on Friday, so don't worry if you missed this or just caught the end, and it'll probably be around 12. I'll post the reminder after this stream. Okay, so the bottom section, yes, I do want that to be darker, but I always like to start light until you get it right. Okay, that's what I like to do. Everyone draws differently, but for me, it's kind of worked. So light till you get it right. When in doubt, rough it out. Alright, something like that. I don't know what it is about markers as opposed to sketching digitally, but I feel like with markers I'm way more confident. I think I mentioned I'm practicing just being a bit more confident digitally, because it's almost like as soon as I start a digital sketch I get super hesitant and scratchy with my strokes, and I'm trying to correct that a little bit. So just one of my personal challenges and things I'm trying to work on. All right, maybe on the interior there's a pink strip or element. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here. Maybe we'll drop it when we do the main sketch. All right, so for this whole thing now, let's say we have tinted glass, something like that. I need to start thinking about, okay, what's in the environment and how does that, or how will that rather reflect into the glass? But let's get some structural pieces in place first. So this door might have a frame, for example. Okay, and maybe just a little something of a canopy for this glass bubble. But if this is glass, it's going to be reflecting a lot of stuff around it, right? So you kind of need to figure out, what's in the environment, where is it reflecting, all that good stuff. Thank you. It is kind of a cute little autonomous vehicle. Trying to avoid the anthropomorphized effect of what you kind of see sometimes in these cute vehicles. They look like a smiling face or whatever. Trying to avoid that a little bit. Just adding some texture to the interior. Maybe we can address that, in the detail sketch. When we do that next, let's see, how long have we been going for now? All right, I'm just gonna add another little pillar on this side. And in addition to that, maybe just a little bit of a part where the door would need to kind of open, right? Something like that. Okay, so like I said, I kind of need to think about what's reflecting in the environment, all of that good stuff. So all right. Sorry, I just had to get up and hide the chat on the overhead. If you do want to catch the full stream, like I said, head on over to youtube.com/sketchaday.com. All right. So what's in the environment? Do you have buildings? Do you have things like that? We want to make this feel like a bubble. So this is always nerve-wracking when I do this, but we're going to start just imagining that there's things, right, reflecting into the glass. All right, so I'm going to start with just some lines like this, not go all the way to the edge, right? Something like that. And you notice I have this dark spot down there. Okay, it's there for a reason. But yeah, there's probably things in the environment reflecting up in here, right? Kind of pulling up. We're going to keep this spot as a bit of a highlight, right? So there might be buildings or trees or what have you, just reflecting into the glass. In fact, one of the things you can do is if there's something like a tree in your sketch, you want to kind of bring in some of those tones, okay? So here, this is a green gray, and I'm starting to just add some contrast, okay? So again, if there's something like a tree, and I'll add a bit more green to this as well. But yes, contrast is your friend when you're doing this stuff. We're gonna make it all the way to black on this. And yes, I'm shading over what we already shaded, and you might be wondering, why did you shade that in the first place? All these colors, you know, marker ink is translucent, so even though this is like dark gray, you can still see some of the pink coming through. So that's why. Here's some green that I'm adding in as well. Okay, again, if there are just things in the environment that are reflecting, we want to try and capture some of that, okay? And then we'll do our crazy weird sci-fi interior, and hopefully you guys are learning a little bit of stuff playing with the markers, but don't think of the marker ink as opaque. Like once you put it down, that's it, game over. It's translucent. You can build up those values depending on where you start, where you're at. It's certainly you have that flexibility and ability to do that. All right, but right here at the middle, this is where I want most of the contrast. Okay, right on this middle spot, and then I can fade a little bit, but I still want that to be somewhat crisp. Okay, so just like that. And let's see, this is a cool gray 5, so let's see if I can get something a little bit darker to kind of help blend this. This is Sketch Day Live. Thanks for joining once again. So we're going to work our way all the way up to black here on these reflections. And just play with it, you know, if you feel like it needs to change, go for it. Pay attention to real reflections and see kind of what's happening, and it'll be really easy to figure out how to do some of this stuff. What's up, Kevin? Thanks for joining. Got some friends friends on the Insta Live, looks like. 9 p.m. in Norway. Let's see, 21:12. I'm always messed up on 24-hour time, the clocks, so pardon me if I sound like a crazy person saying 24:12 or 21:12. That would be in my time 9:12. Yeah, so maybe midday is just a better time. Summer should be a little bit easier. Let me close this door, my apologies. Got my AC kicking on. Summer should be a little bit easier for me as my kids are off and I miss them, but I can do times like this during the day. Alright, I feel like I'm spending way too much time on this reflection, but now you can see the black. You've got some colors in there. If you want to go, you know, with some brownish, we can do that as well, just to pick up on the tones of the ground. Right, so that's just warming up the gray, for example, just a little bit here and there, even some of the pink. Okay, just getting those tones in as well. All right, cool. So I've got some reflections in there, and the light's really bright, so you guys can't see, but if I move this at an angle, you'll see the contrast is there, and that's why I scan these and upload, so you can really see what's happening, because sometimes the light throws things off. Okay, so now let's get a nice, I think a bold shadow on the ground is really what this drawing is going to need, but we'll continue to just push some values here, right, where we need it. just like that. Just as a side note, I also do workshops. So if you're with a school or business and I do tutoring now. But if if you're looking to improve your skills or skills of your team, hit me up. Let me know, and I'll tell you how that goes. All right. So I wanted this to actually be the tail light. That's why I left it, kind of extended. So it's almost like the back of the vehicle. You could imagine, if you have this bubble vehicle, and here's a wheel and another wheel, that you've got this kind of block on the back, and this is all a nice highlight right there, and maybe there's just kind of a loop on the back. So that's kind of what I'm imagining. There's our door cutout, or cutouts, I guess. So in this case, thumbnails can be helpful when you're just trying to. I know I say don't use your wrist, but sometimes you kind of have to. Let's add some line weights so we can create some separation there and start to bubble that up. Alright, so something like that. Oh, let's get some tread on this back pink tire. I'm like jumping all over the place. My apologies. We'll get to the interior next, and let's see. We've been going for 58. Maybe one more sketch after that interior. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. But I promise I will be back tomorrow around the same time. Got some video editing to do today, and I'll be uploading some previous segments. So if you've missed previous lives, you can head over to my live or my YouTube channel. Sorry. youtube.com/sketchday.com, and that's where I kind of archive everything. All right, so I think the Instagram feed might end soon. So if you want to catch the rest, head over to the YouTube. Otherwise, it'll be peace out for today, and we'll catch you later, all right? Alex says, I need some help on my works. Can I leave something where I could contact you? Just hit me up in my DMs. Slide into them DMs. Say, hey, what's up? I was on the stream. Here's my question, and I'll respond. Okay? Promise. I can't promise you like the answer, but I will respond. No guarantees there. All right. Back to the lights. What I was saying is here, if this were some like lighting block on the back, I would kind of want that to, kind of peek off the side. It felt cute. Might delete later. We'll see. All right. So now for the shadow on the bottom. I'll just use this Copic marker, and we'll fill in what we can here. These wide markers are super fun, by the way. Just really, really cool to kind of fill in areas overall, and you can be precise with them. I mean, if you're careful, if you tilt them the right way, things like that, they are fun. Someone asked me on the Discord today, when's your book coming out? I am happy to report I am working on it. My goal is to release that this summer. And it's going to be a how I draw book, not necessarily a how to draw book. So just be aware of that. But some good juicy resources coming your way. And hopefully you enjoy that as much as I've been enjoying the process of really just kind of dumping my brain into something that people can understand and hopefully appreciate. So that'll be coming out soon. Patreons will get preferred treatment, of course. They just got free Photoshop brushes, so if you want to check that out, hit up patreon.com/sketchaday. Alright, so I gotta get the inside of this now. Like I said, that was the highlight section, and I'll just do a light gray here. Just shade this in. Alright, remember this is our highlight right here. So right next to that, I'm just gonna kind of scrub and get like maybe another reflection or thing going. What happens in Instagram, they only let you stream for an hour, so which is what I say at the beginning of the stream and why I say it, just to let you guys know. So that's what happened to Instagram. Alright, so there's my reflection across the front. I've got wheels, wheelbase, kind of the back here. Now let's open the door and go inside the vehicle. So that's sketch number 2. Now, inside the vehicle, it looks like, I'm going to zoom out a little bit for you guys. Give myself some room here. Alright. Should put a quick background. Yeah, I probably should, but maybe I'll touch it up again in a little bit. We'll see. Actually, I do want to add some. I do want to add a few things. I like these little cooling or texture dots. You can add that. The theme is pink, so everything has pink. Just wanted to make these wheels a little bit more contrasty. Contrasty, is that even a word? Have more contrast. Just a little bit. This is an R6. It looks reddish, but just want to add some contrast here and there. Okay, so cute little vehicle. Are you banned, Alex? No. Which message did I miss? My apologies. Should put a quick background. I did get that message. I'm just saying I don't know if I want to. If I were gonna add a background though, I'd probably just do at this point just something like this. Alright, maybe something like that. Just using your marker in a little different way. And then come across to the other side here and maybe do the same thing. Just keep it kind of abstract. So, my apologies. Didn't mean to ignore your message or messages, but there's a quick background for you. Alright, much love, Alex. My apologies. Should we call this the Alex Mobile?